mambo ya second generation na kila kitu tutafunga. Right? Na kada board hiyo imepotea.
Hii pombe haramu mnazungumza, mimi napigana nayo, nimenyamaza tu, sina story mo. Nenda Thika uone stadium kumejaa pombe haramu tumeshika every day.
Central Kenya's illicit brew, an angry president and confusion over Nakada.
What is the intention of collecting money for 3 months and hurting workers even without giving services?
And today we say, hakuna kuchelewa. Enough is enough. Whatever may come, we are ready for it.
The NHIF rates face-off. Public sector union strike begins countrywide.
We were told to pay immediately. That is from yesterday. Yeah, and we are saying, no, we don't have the funds. That is not within our budget.
The court has ruled yes, but where is the money? TSC cries foul over teacher's salary award. And a rousing welcome as Lupita goes to a rural home in Kisumu County. Thank you for joining us. William Silla is your sign language interpreter tonight. President Uhuru Kenyatta has this evening revoked all licenses for bars and other outlets selling second-generation brews. According to the president, many young people in central Kenya have been reduced to alcohol addicts to a point of national concern. The president spoke as he met elected leaders from the wider central Kenya region. And as Betty Kialo now reports, the president is under pressure from the Kikuyu Council of Elders to disband the National Authority for Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse.
Sio maneno ya kwenda kusema ati huyu mtu akona license. Hakuna mtu akona license ya kuua wenzake. Nataka tuelewane very clearly. Hakuna mtu akona license ya kuua Wakenya wenzake. Yeah? Even if you have a license, it is your business as the county commissioner kusema hii license is revoked. Alright? Na hii biashara imefungwa. Tunaelewana? Tunaelewana hivyo? Yeah? Yeah, hiyo license is been revoked na biashara hii imefungwa.
These pictures perhaps capture the gist of what the president was so angry about during his State House meeting with members of the National Assembly and senators from the larger central region. The illicit brew crisis driving him up the wall.
Huwezi kuendelea kuongea juu ya hii maneno. Na mimi nataka tukutane hapa, kila mtu na list ya vile amefanya kwake. Alright? Kila mtu akuje na list ya kila what you have done in your respective constituency because you are the leader. Kutoka assistant chief, kutoka OCS, kutoka nani? Anybody ambaye hatafanya dismissal there. Dismissal. Hakuna kuomba, hakuna kuongea, huyo anaenda. Kama huna haja ya kufanya kazi na sio transfer, unaenda nyumbani.
Uhuru indicated that with his home region having been adversely hit by what he called the business of death, efforts to clean central Kenya of illicit brew will be given priority. He also said that alcohol addicts in the area should be taken into rehabilitation centers.
We will start where we come from because it is the worst, and then we will move to the rest of the country. Yeah? But we start where to the worst.
So impassioned were his calls that at one point he caused confusion with a statement that appeared to indicate that the National Authority for Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse had been disbanded.
Nakada board hiyo imepotea.
It was later that State House, through communication to newsrooms, clarified that NACADA had not been disbanded. It is not the first time confusion is arising over NACADA, and now the Kikuyu Council of Elders wants Uhuru to send them home for good.
The ineffective NACADA be dismantled and reconstituted as soon as possible to be more effective to serve all Kenyans.
The move by Kabete MP Ferdinand Waititu to lead a raid on bars in Kiambu a few days ago has caused friction between him, the Kiambu Governor William Kabogo, and traders.
Lakini ni hatia kwenda kuvunja maduka ya watu. Ni makosa. Ati unataka sasa kuride on the fact that kama wamemaliza pombe, wewe ukuje na wave yako ati wewe ndio unafanya hiyo kazi. Wewe tunakujua.
The traders have since moved to court to sue Ferdinand Waititu for destruction of their business property. Betty Kyalo, KTN.
The Big Q, in association with Fidelity Insurance.
President Uhuru Kenyatta there sharing his concern on alcoholism in central Kenya and indeed the entire country. He's under pressure as well. The Kenya Kikuyu Council of Elders want Nakada disbanded. We're focusing on that particular story, and that is where we derive our big question tonight. We are asking you, should President Uhuru Kenyatta disband Nakada over illicit brews in central Kenya? Let us know what you think. Tweet us at KTN Kenya. You can tweet me at Linda Oguto. We'd love to sample some of your views, some of your opinions on this Nakada issue. More than 6,000 members of the dock union workers went on strike today following failed talks between the unions and the government over the NHIF new rates. As KTN's Ian Ofula reports, more government services may be affected as Trade Union Congress says it is in the process of scheduling a nationwide strike through its members.
A common tune from the country's public sector. This time, however, the dance and songs are not for a pay hike. Rather, the dock union workers were crying foul over the NHIF rates. And as such, they downed their tools early morning, all 6,000 of them. The Kenya Ports Authority and ferry services were affected the entire day, forcing truck drivers to spend hours at the dock.
Sasa nimefika hapa saa 10 usiku. Nimekuta hakuna kitu inaendelea mpaka wa saa hii. Tumekaa ndio naona watu wameanza kusimama wanasema hatujui ni nini kinaendelea ndani.
Hatujafanya kazi yoyote kwa sababu ya kuwa kampuni sahi imesimama, wafanya kazi sahi watasimamishwa kwa sababu ya kutotoa mzigo katika bandari ya KPA. Kufika hapa tukapata mlango zote zimefungwa, hakuna penye tunaweza ingia. Uwezi ingia na uwezi toka.
In a gazette notice dated the 6th of February, NHIF implemented the deduction of 1,700 shillings. The workers said this was too big a burden to them, and their attempts to get their sentiments heard seem to have fallen on deaf ears.
We issued a strike notice to the government of Kenya, 7 days, and that 7 days elapsed yesterday night. And today we said, hakuna kuchelewa, enough is enough. Whatever may come, we are ready for it. And we have paralyzed the work in Kenya Ports Authority, fighting for our right.
Solidarity forever. Back at the capital, it was the same script. The Trade Union Congress, which has the Union of Kenya Civil Servants, Kenya National Union of Teachers, NAT, and Universities Academic Staff Union, OASU, as its affiliate members, was maintaining their ground over the countrywide strike after their failed talks with the government on Tuesday. They opposed the new NHIF rates and are terming the move as unconstitutional, claiming no consultation between the government and stakeholders took place.
As we are seated here today, we promised that strike was to start from midnight. There are a number of areas who are still waiting for our directive.
That under Section 10 of the Constitution, it does require public participation and consultation. And if we are 80% of the contributors, then the fund must first agree with us in totality. We have been cheated back and forth over this matter.
The union further demanded that the deductions be based on basic pay instead of gross pay.
It doesn't create equity. State officers who are taking all the money for themselves in this country, to the tune of $1 million, $2 million, you ask them to pay 1,700, together with Wanjiku the sweeper, to pay 500, 700.
The government, however, insists that suspending the new rates would deny other Kenyans the intended benefits of the new NHIF scheme. Ian Wafula, KTN.
Education Cabinet Secretary Professor Jacob Kaimenyi now faces a real threat of impeachment after the National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi approved a motion on his censure. The mover of the motion, Matayos Member of Parliament Godfrey Odanga, outlined the reasons for which he would like Parliament to impeach the Education CS. This included alleged gross misconduct in his duties as Cabinet Secretary, allowing schools and other learning institutions to operate without boards, and allegedly treating the National Assembly's Committee on Education with contempt by allegedly failing to honor its summons. Kaimenyi has also been accused of not applying due diligence in the procurement of the school laptops. Professor Kaimenyi has also been cited for reported arrogance in failure to consult education stakeholders while making big decisions like banning school ranking in national examinations. That is a story we are keeping an eye on for you. But for now, let's cross over to Kisumu. Lupita Nyong'o made her way there today. Good reception, I must say. Victor Gali now joins us from Kisumu. Victor, how did Kisumu residents receive Lupita Nyong'o?
Well, Linda, the long wait was finally over today morning after Lupita Nyong'o touched down here in Kisumu, especially for the residents of Nyanza and Kisumu County in particular. And the welcoming was a rousing one as she went to her rural home, which is in Seme constituency. She had a motivational talk with students of Rata Secondary School and other students from other schools near Seme village. And she motivated them. And it was also a day that also saw Lupita Nyong'o shed tears. There was a very moving and motivating play, choral verse by Maseno Girls Primary School that was there, and Lupita was seen crying and she was hugging the girls, dancing with the pupils.
Wasting my time, I'd like to call upon the vicar.
The main thing I would like to ask, you're scaling greater heights right now.
I actually wasn't American just because I watched Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That there was a lot about me that was specific to where I was from. And I'm happy to stand here today knowing who that person is and being comfortable in it, enough to be able to explore other people and other cultures. My job as an actor is to apply myself to other people different from who I am. People whose walks of life I know nothing about. For example, with 12 Years a Slave, I had to really deeply consider what it was like to be an African enslaved in America.
Lake Victoria here, which is known in Luo as Nam Lolwe, we should start a film industry in Kisumu called Lollywood.
In my thinking, as a governor of Kisumu, where you belong, thought that your day of homecoming would be a different occasion, that it was going to be big, huge, with fanfare, but of course you chose to come with all humility in a manner that befits a person returning to their family.
Victor, thank you so much for that story. I love how you put it. She finally came home. Victor, can you hear me?
The welcoming was a nice one, though people expected her to come in a big way with a big entourage of cars, people waving, maybe border escorting her, but she opted to make it simple. She just came in 2 cars, 2 SUVs, with her colleagues, with her friends escorting her, and you had her father was also the senator of Kisumu saying that they want to start Namlolwe means a lake, so they in Luo, so they want to start Namlolwe Wood, which could also, which they expect Lupita to also be part of.
Victor Gale from Kisumu, thank you so much. Let's bring you back to Nairobi. Nairobi Governor Dr. Evans Kidero has made good his threat to sue Kakamega Senator Boni Khalwale for defamation. Kidero, through his lawyer, moved to court under a certificate of urgency and obtained temporary orders restraining Khalwale from defaming him. Khalwale last week linked Kidero to the collapse of the Mumias Sugar Company.
A 1 billion shilling bailout may have been what Mumias Sugar Company needed to kickstart its recovery journey, but the presidential bailout visit opened a new battlefront. It was Kakamega Senator Boni Halwale who fired the first salvo.
Mumias did not just die. I want you, Mr. President, as you consider bringing more money, you pursue the criminals who stole from Mumias, na prefect wow.
Kidero, who served as Mumias Sugar Company CEO for 8 years until the year 2012 when he resigned to join politics, did not take Halwale's claims lying down.
Yule ambaye akona jambo, apeleke kwa CID, apeleke kwa anti-corruption, apeleke kwa Kotubiko.
Kidero gave Halwale 3 days to apologize for tarnishing his name or face legal action. Halwale declined to apologize, and now Kidero is seeking to save his name through the courts. Through lawyer Tom Ojienda, Kidero moved to court on grounds that he was slandered as corrupt, a racketeer, a swindler, a fraudster, a white-collar criminal, a cozener, and undeserving of holding public office. He sought to have Halwale restrained from defaming him, arguing that unless he is restrained, Kidero is reasonably apprehensive that his reputation will be further irretrievably tainted, blemished, and lowered in the estimation of right-thinking members of the public, and he will suffer irreparably. Kidero's application was certified as urgent. Justice Joseph Sergon issued temporary orders restraining Halwale either by himself, accomplices, or any person claiming through him or colluding with him from slandering or further making any defamatory statements of and concerning Kidero in relation to the management of the Mumias Sugar Company Limited. The case will be heard on the 15th of July. Rita Tinina, KTN.
President Uhuru Kenyatta is concerned about illicit brew in central Kenya. Kikuyu Council of Elders wants Nakada disbanded. We're asking you on our big question tonight, should President Uhuru Kenyatta disband Nakada over illicit brews in central Kenya? Let us know what you think. You can tweet us at KTN Kenya, at Lindo Gutu. I'll be sampling some of your views during this bulletin. Let me see if I can get some for you. Just give me a second. Okay. Felix Akoko says no, strict measures must just be taken to monitor Nakada. Disbanding it will not change anything. Kefa Mwiti says, yes, we have lost a lot of Kenyan citizens in illicit brew in the name of license. And finally, Hussein Dahir says, tunakunywa pesa yetu, our hustle, deal with corruption, not alcohol. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with KTN Prime. The Teachers Service Commission now says it will be an uphill task to pay teachers the newly awarded pay increment. The Industrial Court granted teachers a 50% to 60% pay rise, but as is, teachers can't celebrate, yet their employer, the TSA, is also giving another precondition for teachers.
The signature anthem of the union, 30th June 2015, welcomes a landmark industrial court ruling, 50 to 60% pay rise for teachers, but this is a narrow slice of the 300% they have been clamoring for. October 1997, when Ambrose Odongo was the chair of the Kenya National Union of Teachers, teachers demanded for a 300% pay rise for the first time, staging a mammoth strike.
Which we have talked since 1997. Those who started this talk are now in heaven. I know they didn't go to hell. Adongo went to heaven. Katumanga went to heaven. Chirichiri went to heaven.
Wasn't the first. Teacher strikes over varied grievances date back to 1962, twice before independence, in 1966, 1969, giving way to the TSRC, 1997, 1998, 2002, and January 2009, dubbed as the mother of all strikes, September 2011, July 2013, again stressing on the 300% factor, and early 2015, an 18-year wait for it. The ruling was welcome, but even before teachers could celebrate, Professor Jacob Kaimenyi, the CS Education, was quick to say the decision would be appealed, a sour note to the teachers.
The fact that just peanuts. Actually, since the independence, Kenyan teachers
have actually been done what? Been demoralized in their profession.
Partly we are happy and partly we expected a bigger boost. That was the 300% that was promised.
Today, the TSC, the teachers' employers, reiterated that stand.
And therefore, the government has decided that a job evaluation becomes necessary to set the standards of payment, reward to teachers and other public officers. It's not going to take long. The job evaluation might probably favor the teachers even more than the judgment.
TSC says their decision is justifiable and that they have no money for the pay rise and need justifiable working figures, something more sustainable. They, according to their chair, are not against the teachers' just remuneration, but they say the SRC, public servants and consultants will oversee that job evaluation. But according to the teachers, these are reasons they have had time and time again for 18 years.
TSC that is our employer, it is TSC that pays us. We are not seeing reasons as to why the minister should intervene to go and appeal again. Bwana Minister, leave us alone.
This is not going to be the end. We will continue. It does not mean now that the court has awarded us 50 to 60%, we'll sit and keep quiet and say, hurrah, everything is good, let's keep quiet. Even when things are wrong, we will not hesitate to point out. And the content, as ruled by the court, is final and binding. What the CS should be telling us is how much effort is putting to convince Treasury to avail money and pay teachers. He should have been the first one celebrating that for the first time, teachers are being heard through the courts. And it was good for us to abide and accept consent proceedings with the courts. So we are telling anybody trying to purport to be appealing, they will meet resistance they've never seen.
Teacher, the union, the employer and the court, stakes are high. The final outcome of this will set a precedent for industrial action in the country. Already, a Pandora's box has been opened in the labor sector, and this is about the future of millions of Kenyan children. Dorcas Wangira, KTN, Kakamega.
Dorcas Wangira, they are speaking to some of the teachers from Western Kenya, of course, on that 50 to 60% pay increase they were awarded yesterday by the court, some of them saying this is just the beginning. Dorcas, thank you. Let's now cross over to Eldoret and speak to a North Rift reporter, Mercy Kandie. There's a big question on just who owns a parcel of land associated with Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital. Mercy, what's going on?
Yes, Linda. Today, the controversy surrounding the proposed land to construct the new 28 billion shilling new Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital deepened today as the Office of the Attorney General filed an application at the Eldoret Court to apply that the MTRH Hospital and the Ministry of Health be enjoined in the civil suit that was filed by the KO Teachers SACCO. Adding again to more controversy again to who exactly owns this parcel of land. Listen in to what happened today at the law courts in Eldoret town. At the Environment and Land Court in Eldoret, KO Teachers SACCO members see it pensively. Wednesday was a big day for them. The court was to give a ruling over the 100-acre piece of land the SACCO says they bought from NSSF back in 2004, before the Kenya prisons forcefully evicted them in 2006 when the teachers wanted to develop the land.
Do we proceed and visit the disputed parcel of land?
The ruling, however, did not happen. Instead, the Office of the Attorney General filed an application seeking the said medical facility and Ministry of Health be enjoined in a civil suit filed by KO Teachers SACCO.
There was an application by the State Council, Mr. Joseph Ngumbi, to adjourn the case so that they can have time to make an application to enjoin Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital and the Ministry of Health as parties to this case.
The application to have the case adjourned was overruled, and the case proceeded to the Kiplombe area on the controversial piece of land. And as everyone waited for the open-air court to be set up, the teachers in their hundreds decided to pray. They have been in a court battle over the piece of land classified as Block 10D within the Eldoret municipality for 10 years now.
It has been pending in court since April 2006, up to now. So it's unfortunate that we have members of the society who have retired. We have those who are also deceased and they have not enjoyed the benefits.
In a letter dated August 5th, 2013, addressed to the then Cabinet Secretary for Interior, Joseph Olelenku, suspended Land Secretary Charity Ngilu states that the land rightfully belongs to the Keyo Sacco through purchase from NSSF.
The state is saying the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital has acquired land from the prison. So my question is, which land? The land in dispute, the case is still pending. So we have titles until when the court makes a decision otherwise to say we are not the owners, but for now we are the owners.
The case presided over by Justice Anthony Obwayo, who made a visit to the site. This was under the watchful eye of the anti-riot Kenya prison. The long and painful wait has been extended as the KO Teachers Sacco contemplate the next move before the next hearing that is scheduled for the 10th of July. They say, regardless of what is said and done, they hope that justice shall be served. Marcy Kandia, KTN, Kiplombe area, Uasin Gishu County.
Masikandia from Eldoret, thank you. Lots of back and forth on that Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital saga. Let's keep an eye on it as well for you. An Embu businessman has moved to court seeking to restrain Deputy President William Ruto from transferring or dealing with the land on which Western Hotel sits. Under a certificate of agency, Martin Jeru, a land dealer, wants the court to issue temporary orders against Ruto and his agents, restraining them from further alienating, transferring, or wasting or dealing with the land until his application and the petition are heard and determined. The businessman, who says he sued on his own behalf and that of Kenyan citizens, maintains the petition is premised on grounds that Ruto publicly admitted he owns the hotel, which was allegedly built on public land. He has told the court that Deputy President is likely to use his influence to further alienate the Western Hotel land.
Hello and welcome to KTN Business. I'm Joy Doreen Bira. Despite daunting odds, Kenya's economy has expanded faster in the first 3 months of this year than it did last year. According to data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, most sectors of the economy are now leading to 4.9% economic growth in Q1. Adelaide Changole reports.
It would seem the economy has remained resilient in the face of daunting odds. According to data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, the country's gross domestic product expanded by 4.9% between January and March this year, higher than 4.7% recorded in the same period last year. The jump was buoyed by a rebounding agricultural sector, which grew at 4.4% in the quarter compared to 2.2% last year. The sector benefited from low output and increased demand for tea and coffee, which worked together to lift prices and raise export earnings.
Now, agriculture sector is contributes about almost 30% of the GDP of our economy, and unfortunately, it is rain-fed agriculture.
Meanwhile, the rapid development in the country's real estate market and the rollout of the standard gauge railway have seen the construction sector grow at 11.3%. This growth has been a boon for cement makers who have witnessed rising demand.
Talking to a lot of the cement companies, they've actually seen, a lot of growth in the consumption of cement. And it is actually no accident that you're also seeing a lot of interest in terms of other cement companies coming to set up in Kenya.
The manufacturing sector, however, posted slowed growth of 3.5% in the first quarter, which was attributed to falling tobacco manufacturing, processing of canned fruits, maize meal and sugar.
If you look at some of the companies that closed their operations, companies like Eveready, I think one of the factors that has consistently been cited is what they call counterfeit or commodities or goods that come in that are competing and probably haven't paid taxes on them, and therefore they are competing on an uneven ground. So that is one factor, and I think that still needs to be addressed.
Meanwhile, the tourism sector recorded negative growth for the 5th consecutive quarter, weighed down by insecurity concerns and negative travel advisories. The government has set itself an ambitious target of 6.5% economic growth in 2015, having grown by just 5.3% in 2014. So should the government revise the rate downwards? Experts say no.
I think it's still important to have a high, an ambitious target. Because what an ambitious target does is that it makes you have to strive towards achieving that goal.
Adelaide Changole, KTN Business.
East African Breweries has appointed Jen Karuku to head its local subsidiary, Kenya Breweries, following the exit of Joe Mugende last month. Prior to her appointment, Ms. Karuku served as Cadbury Schweppes Managing Director and brings with her over 20 years' experience in the fast-moving consumer goods market. She joins the business at a time competition in the beer market is heating up with the entry of multinational brands. Despite that, EABL still commands 80% of the beer market and is making headway in growing its share of the lower and upper spirits markets. And in more business, today being a Wednesday, we take a look at our weekly feature, The Adventurer. Bicycles world over have many uses. From mode of transport, sporting activities, or even for fun, it's hard to imagine a world without bicycles. But for one entrepreneur, bicycles are good business. On this week's Adventurer, Charles Gitonga talks to Wycliffe Waweru, founder of Play Guru Limited, on why he would drop his IT degree to buy and rent over 350 bicycles as a business.
Hello and welcome to The Adventurer. Now, riding a bicycle to many is considered a leisure, but to others it's a sport. But did you know that this could also be a good income-generating activity? This week, we speak to Wycliffe Waweru, who's found a stable job in hiring out bicycles.
Hello, Nyaja.
Fiti. Fiti.
So tell us about this bicycles business.
Yes. I'll just tell you in the simplest way, it's a childhood passion turned to profit. So I started back in 2010, February, with 6 bicycles, which were my own pieces. And from there we grew it to an enterprise, to what it is now. Yes, it's been a great work, a great challenge, because from standing by the roadside, ducking the city council officers, growing to a level where you have licenses and you're actually bidding with other corporate organizations, it's been a great journey, to say the least. This is a store. That's why we keep the parts on the inside, but this is where we keep the bikes. These are majorly all bikes for sale. Then the bicycles for repair and the parts that we use for recycling are the ones that you can see on that side. Yes.
And so, how did you go about setting up all this? Where did the idea come?
For me, I'd say it was a real passion. It was all about passion. Because even when I was starting up, like I mentioned, I started with 6 bicycles, which were my own personal bicycles. The cost per bike was a little bit hefty. And even the common mananchi was not appreciative of the bicycles that I was selling then. But now the biggest plus was I was selling a high-end bicycle, and every time I would sell one, I'd get a local dealer who's importing from UK or from Japan, and these are second-hand bicycles, and buy 4 or 5 pieces, such that by the time I was done selling the 6th bicycle, I had a stock of in excess of 15 bicycles.
So how much did you invest in this?
I'd say the 6 bicycles probably cost me in excess of 300,000 then, and these are all personal. They were at my mom's place in the store, but from there, the only thing I had by the time I was setting up by the roadside was my final dues check from my former employer. I was formerly a management trainee at Riara Group of Schools. So while I worked there, it has all been about play. That's the name of the company, Play Guru, as you can see. My life has been all about play.
What are the kind of clients that you serve?
You have fun days for schools, where you have a school as a fun day, probably for the upper primary, that's class 4 to 8. So they'd come hire like 50 or 60 pieces, which these kids would share and do like a relay kind of lap. Then you have the corporate segment, where you have the likes of Safaricom, who they tell you they want probably a team building event or Safaricom Extreme in Karura. Get a team of 40, 30 guys who all want bicycles, and you take those bicycles to Karura. I'd say the pieces that are inside here, off my head, are probably 340, 350, which is like a 40-foot container. That's the current stock that is here. What is bigger is the opportunity, because the people out there don't know the difference between these bicycles and the bicycle that you have in the supermarket. So that paradigm shift is our biggest problem, because we have to sell the value proposition to them. In the future, we are looking into moving from second-hand bicycles to new ones. The challenges in this business, like I said from the onset, is one, the lay customer does not appreciate the difference between these bikes and the one in the supermarket. Secondly, second-hand, there's that lack of a proprietary element. Like you can see this bike, this is not my brand. I would like to have a bicycle that has my own brand.
What's your advice to upcoming entrepreneurs?
Translate your passion into a profit. Yes.
From an IT graduate to finding fun and business in bicycles, and that's the attitude of an entrepreneur, a doer, a follower of passion and not just a dreamer. Charles Gitonga for The Adventure.
Thanks, Charles. Well, how often do you follow your passion and forget about your profession? That is just one success story among millions in the country. Moving on now to more business, the county government of Nairobi has announced its 30.8 billion shillings 2015-2016 financial budget with focus on infrastructure development. The county's budget will lean heavily towards infrastructure and health development, which will receive the lion's share of its 11 billion shillings development allocation. County residents will be spared from increased taxes and fees, with county now instead focusing on increasing its efficiency.
In recent years, Nairobi has been synonymous with traffic congestion and uncontainable flooding. Both problems are attributable to poor planning and maintenance of road and drainage infrastructure, which the county government now plans to tackle head-on. In its 2015-2016 budget, the county has allocated 1.8 billion shillings towards roads and drainage development aimed at improving intra-city connectivity. Another 501 million shillings will go towards maintenance of the same.
Basically, we have roads that we had started doing, and roads is a very costly investment. So what we will be focusing in this year is just to complete some of those roads, which some of them have not been completed. So that we will do, and street lights.
To finance the 30.8 billion shillings budget, the county is focused on improving revenue collection rather than increasing taxes and license fees. The county also plans to freeze any pay rises for its staff to curb growth of the wage bill, which continues to consume more than half of its finances. The county will receive 13.4 billion shillings from the central government and expect to raise the remaining 17.4 billion shillings from other sources like parking, land rates and permit fees.
The focus would be on efficiency, first of all. This year, we're expecting to close at around locally generated revenues of about 12.5 billion. So we're saying we're increasing about 5 billion to that.
City Hall has in the past 2 years struggled to fund its budget, resorting to drastic cuts in the development allocation towards the end of each financial year. Charles Gitonga, KTN Business Today.
And that's it for KTN Business today. For more business, log on to our website, standardmedia.co.ke or ktnkenya.tv. I'm Joy Doreen Bira. Good night. Up next is Lynn Washira with KTN Sports.
A very good evening and a warm welcome to tonight's edition of KTN Sports. My name is Lynn Washira. The Kenya Rugby Union adopted their 2014 financial report and extended the mandate of the committee tasked with aiding them with the new constitution at its special general meeting held earlier this evening at the RFUA grounds. The union's chairman was, however, tasked with bringing to book the culprits that embezzled a tune of 28 million Kenya shillings during last year's Safaricom Safari Sevens.
Affiliates are paying for blood in terms of they want to see heads roll, but for heads to roll, there has to be a basis for it. There has to be, and they're telling me to name names, but the auditors cannot give me names, so me as a chairman, there's no basis on which I can put people's heads on the chopping board. So as for me now, I think it's a question of moving on. I mean, when you look at the audit report, you look at what has happened, if you dwell too much in the past, then you spend another year just looking at what happened. I think we look at it positively, we move forward, because the game is suffering in the interim, because you see Bamburi are not on board, Safaricom are not on board, we don't know the Kenya Airways are going to come on board. If we continue fighting, it's the game that's gonna suffer. So we must take a positive view that we move on, and that what the affiliates have said today, they don't want to see this happen in the future. If this happens in the future, somebody's going to go to jail.
And to some football news now, retired Kenyan footballers will sponsor one of their own to oppose current Football Kenya Federation Chairman Sam Nyong'o during the upcoming elections. The group, led by suspended FKF Vice Chair Sami Sholei, is asking stakeholders to elect persons with the interests of the sport at heart.
After last week's FKF annual general meeting was aborted following what the Federation termed as insecurity, activity in the lead-up to the national elections in October will sure be handful in the coming days. Retired footballers under the banner Okoa Football met in Nairobi to show support for one of them, but fell short of naming who their flag bearer will be. Legendary Joe Kadenge, who spoke of the group's plan together with suspended Sholei, were clear that football management should be led by one who does not only understand the sport, but one who has played it before.
Now this time, naomba wa Kenya tutajaribu tuone kama mtu ambaye alicheza mpira kama anaweza kuongoza. Ajaribiwe sasa wakati huu.
Football stakeholders must arise and take their rightful positions by electing into office individuals with strong football background and pedigree.
Sholei and Dan Shikanda, the former Nairobi National Executive Committee member, are still serving their suspensions.
I want to appeal to the President of Kenya Football Federation to consider unconstitutional reinstatement of all the suspended officials. Differences should be solved amicably.
We see people minting millions in athletics, but we see our players dying as paupers. Time has come for a complete paradigm shift. We need everybody in this game.
All eyes will be out to see who they will front. Robinson Okenye, KTN Sports.
That does it for tonight's edition of KTN Sports. Be sure to join me tomorrow for another action-packed edition of KTN Sports. I'm Lynn Washira. Do have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your viewing and keep it KTN.
KTN Weather in association with Morteen Dew.
Thank you for staying with KTN Prime. Tonight we are asking you if you think President Uhuru Kenyatta should disband Nakada over illicit brew in central Kenya. We'll have the poll results on your screen in just a few minutes. But let me see if I can sample some of your thoughts on this. Ochieng Makokeo says, no, Nakada has been successful in its mandate. The extremes we see are forces Nakada cannot handle. Atungusale says, yes, but only if Uhuru Kenyatta has a more appealing solution to illicit brew and harmful drinking. Finally, Sylvester Aura says, prosecuting corrupt officers, creation of employment and poverty eradication will help curb alcoholism. Those are just some of your views on our big question tonight on whether or not President Uhuru Kenyatta should disband Nakada. The poll results there on your screen. And that's where we end KTN Prime. Thank you for watching. William Sila has been our sign language interpreter. Thank you, William. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Linda Ogutu.